Welcome. Thanks everybody for tuning back in and listening to Pleasure. This your host, Rob G, the one and only. Today we got a good group of guys and we're coming on talking about youth football, something that we all love and we all volunteer for. I'm going to get through it so I can get the guys on. And when I introduce the guys, I'm going to let them tell you how long they've been in youth football and what they do with youth football. Slight introduction. And as you know, as it's time, please like, click, subscribe, and share our video so we get our views up and we can all chime in. So without further ado, make sure my co-host is tuned on and he's on. So first, I'm going to bring to the stage. Y'all know every week, he said, hold on. Okay, he about ready. So y'all know every week we have a co-host. Anybody that want to come on, co-host, like to come on, like to do topic. We do everything on this podcast. It's not your traditional podcast. We talk about everything, random subjects, hot topics, and all. So without further ado, y'all please welcome to the stage Mike V, our co-host.
I can't hear you, bro. Can you hear me?
Yeah, y'all can't hear me?
I can't hear you at all.
A lot of talk. Not at all?
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
I can't hear you.
All right, I'm gonna introduce the panel.
Hold on, I'm gonna leave out and come back.
Welcome to the stage, Jay. Jay, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear, man.
Okay, I just wondered what's going on. Okay. All right, I thought I was messed up for a minute, so there's this mic phone. All right. I'm about to say, man, not again. Let me go to the comments. Okay, they say they can hear us both. That's you, Mike. All right, so boom, let's make sure we good. Somebody that's on YouTube, somebody said they can hear me. Somebody on Facebook, give me a thumbs up. And Instagram, give me a thumbs up. Welcome up next to the stage. We're going in order, no particular order. My bad. Sorry. I welcome Jay to the stage. Jay, tell them how long you've been involved with youth football and how you involved in the youth football.
Well, I'm the president of Peninsula Youth Football Cheerleading in the Tidewater section of Virginia. I've been involved with football directly since around 2007. I've been working with football teams since the mid to late 90s, and I've been running youth groups and mentorship programs since about 93, all here in Virginia and in West Philly.
Okay. My man.
Currently, I'm the president of Peninsula Youth Football Cheerleading.
All right. Next up to the stage, we got my man I known for a while, for a long time, back from a really circle days. Y'all welcome to the stage, Coach Brown.
Hey. What's up, everybody?
What's up? Right.
I'm Coach Brown. President of Southside Youth Football, president of Huntersville Wolverines. Been around youth football for roughly about 17 years. I took on the presidency and ownership of Southside Youth Football when Norfolk Rec, decided to get rid of youth rec football. And me and a few guys decided to, bring rec football back. Every kid and every parent is not a travel kid and not a travel parent. So, we grew up on rec league football, downtown Newport News, played for the Spartans as a little kid. We grew up down there and it was always rec ball. It was not much travel then. So I'm just trying to carry on the tradition of rec football over here on the South Side, man, for these young student athletes over here, man. So we started Southside Youth 4 years ago, and I took on the presidency for Huntersville Wolverines 4 years ago as well. And like I said, we're just trying to carry on the tradition of rec league football, something affordable, for the young fellas and the young ladies, the cheer group. And hey, just keep us in prayer, man. Keep us in prayer that we can keep it moving.
Appreciate you for what you do. Next up to the stage, we have my man Bruce Pearl. Y'all welcome Bruce to the stage. Welcome, hey, Bruce. Welcome.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate it. I run the Virginia Beach Mustangs. I've been running the org since 2001. Started coaching with my dad in 1980. So that gave me about 43 years of coaching. It's what I love to do.
All right.
Seen a lot of really good.
Next. What? I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying, we've had a lot of good kids that come through, a lot of, lawyers and doctors and all sorts of cool things, as well as some really good football players as well.
All right. Let's try to welcome back Mike to see if he got his stuff right. Y'all, welcome back to the stage, Mike. You got your phone right, bro?
Yeah, I'm good, bro. I'm good. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, good.
Welcome.
Oh yeah, Mike. Shoot, tell him what.
Welcome.
Tell him you the same. You can do the same.
For those of y'all who don't know, I've been a official for the last 2 years for PIFCO, and I actually love the job because it gave me a chance to mentor on the field through football, which are two of my biggest passions in the world. Making the youth better in whatever way possible, and just starting to be able to see those ones you kind of can feel might feel like football is a future for them, and try to help them with attitudes and stuff that's bigger than football. You know what I mean? So yeah, I love it. I love it.
All right. Next to the stage, we will welcome my man Larry Vaughn. Welcome.
I appreciate it.
All right.
Currently, I'm the co-founder of Flight 300 Academy, all-season training development 707 program for middle school, high school student athletes. Formerly the founder of Hampton 300, a member of Hampton Posse Rec. We started that in 2016. That is now being transitioned to Emmanuel Anderson and that group, and they're going to do a good job of keeping that going in Hampton Parks and Recreation. I've been in and out of youth football probably since 2004 when Jerry Holmes, who was the assistant coach at Hampton University at the time, I was a graduate assistant student, asked me to come and do a camp, help me do a youth camp over with the Aberdeen Raiders. And came on board, ended up leaving the collegiate world to go into the work world. And Aberdeen heard I was a free agent, and they asked me to come help them for that fall. So ever since then, I've been in and out of youth football.
All right. Welcome. Appreciate you. Last but not least, as of right now, y'all welcome to the stage, AC. I may welcome my man AC to the stage.
Welcome.
What's going on, AC?
What's up, Rob? Hey, thanks for having me, man, on this call tonight on this platform. I'm AC. I'm the president and CEO of Southside Officials Association. This year, 33 officiating. High school this year, 29 doing high school. Up and down the East Coast. I traveled out West Coast and did some youth football. It's just the enjoyment, man, of the kids. And 30-some years in, every time I get a chance to walk on the football field, man, and the love the kids show and the respect that the kids show me, that they may not show some of the parents back at home. But once they get on their football field, man, just to see their face light up, man, even after, the coaches chew them out and fussing at them and they got tears in their eyes, and I walk in the hut and say, hey, man, let it go, shake it off, just to boost them up, man, just to talk to them. Because what y'all don't see is the gap in between the time they leave y'all and come back in their huddle, how they feel. And just for me to be there to talk to them once they get back, let them know, hey, man, that play is over with, shake it off, make the next play, man, and continue to keep these guys going. Because some of these kids, man, that little gap in between you talking to them on the sideline and coming back, man, that feeling they have inside, man, make them want to quit, make them not want to do it, not make want to even be on the field anymore. So as a referee, for me, the excitement I get out of this, hey, man, talking to the guys, even though they fussing and cussing y'all out in the huddle. Y'all don't hear it. I hear it, right? But me being out there talking to them guys, man, seeing them laughing and joking, taking pictures with them and, coming on to the high school level. And they're like, you did me when I was doing rec ball. And I can promise you probably 99% of the guys that's doing youth football right now, I refereed them when they was playing youth ball. You know, back starting out at Norfolk Rec when there was no AYF or there was no UYF, you know, it was strictly Norfolk and just city ball, no travel football, you know. And those coaches back then, Coach Joe Austin and, you know, Coach Boone and Coach Freeman and them guys that I came up through, they were some hard guys, man. But, you know, you have to love it. If as long as it's in here, you'll stay involved in it. Once it's no longer in here, no matter if it's coaching or playing, let it go.
No doubt, no doubt. Like I said, man, I appreciate all you guys for coming on, and thanks for being on the platform. Oh, let me introduce. So me with the youth football, I don't even know when I officially started coaching, but I've been, like you said, just always been around the youth football. Like Tony said, from down the way, it was only two teams in the town. Either you was a Spartans or you was a Raider. So either you was loved or you was hated, depending on what neighborhood you was in. There wasn't no difference back then. Just Boys Club and Doris Miller. So I think I officially started coaching about 13 years ago. I think that's when I officially started coaching. Been around coaching since then, and been on some boys that had some good stuff going on with me and Jay, Tyrod, Rodney, and then we did started 7-on-7, a couple of things on the peninsula. So I've been around for a long time on a couple of things. So we're gonna start back off just introduction and basic. Let's just do for you guys a recap of the 2024 season for you, for what you see. I don't want to call nobody out first, but I don't want everybody trying to talk over nobody. So if somebody want to go first, Coach Brown, you want to go first?
Sure.
You want to go first? I'm gonna let you.
Sure. 2024 recap, man. 20,000. I mean, it was for us rec league wise. I mean, Larry would know the same situation, man. With, you know, of course, we have a partnership with Hampton Parks and Rec, with Southside Youth Football. Just awesome to see these young student athletes fellowship with each other, you know, because it's to a point where I don't know what society has drilled in these kids' heads, man. But it sometimes is to the point where it's just because you from a certain area, you know what I'm saying, we can't be friends or we enemies and things like that, man. But to see these guys now, they're at the point where they're exchanging phone numbers, man, and they're talking to each other, man, you know, in ways that, you know, we can't see as adults. These kids are growing, and when you see growth, that means you're doing something right. But as far as over in Norfolk, man, Huntersville Wolverines, man, this year, man, we had some big things going on. We had 3 teams out of our 4 that win championships this year. We just had our championship banquet, man. One of the biggest banquets that we have ever had. That's the biggest one that I've ever seen from Huntersville. I mean, the support was dynamic. I mean, we finally had our first homecoming. Huntersville has never seen or had a homecoming. You know, we had a homecoming game. When I say alumni, community members, civic league members, city council, mayor's office. I mean, we had that corner lit up like it was firecrackers over there, man. And it was just so awesome to see, man. It made me feel so good. Yeah, as a president, you know, I know I'm doing something right. Of course, you're gonna have the people beating you in the head. He this, he that, he this, but that's for all of us. You know what I mean? You're gonna always have your people that's gonna, you know, whatever they stab you in the back, talk about you. Hey, it is what it is. I know we doing something right. You know, we had the privilege to go down to the city council meeting.
Coach might have faded out, man. Coach faded out, but in the meantime, when he get back, right, we'll bring him on. We got another guest. Let me see if I can add him to the stage. We'll make sure he want to get on. I don't know if he just listening to that. But in the meantime, so let me go with my breakdown of the season real quick before I make sure my other guests want to get on. So for me, this season was personal for so many different reasons. For y'all that don't know, I went through a near-death situation, right? May the 5th. He was in a terrible accident and wasn't expected. Coach wasn't expected to do anything. But, you know, when the kids calling you in the hospital and they want you to come back, you know what I mean? It's just hard to turn that down, man, you know. So at first I wasn't going to coach. I was going to turn it over. But as soon as I was able, probably like a month later, Jay could tell you, once I was able to breathe and I was on the oxygen, they sent me them portable oxygen tanks to the crib. I put them things on the walker and I pushed it right on out to the field. And
hear me now.
And I pushed right out there to the field and I was out there doing my thing. And, you know, I told them, if we stick together, we're going to make it happen. We had 20 kids, and out of them 20, we had 6 that never played. It was rough, but with all due, at the end, they came back, they came together, and we won our local championship. We went down to Florida. We finished third, and now I think they're hungry. I think that woke them up. So, you know, that's just my recap of my season, and we'll move on. I'm gonna add this guy to the stage. I don't know if he want to get on in that, but y'all welcome to the stage. Coach Brown is back, and we'll see if we can add Red stage. Red, you on? I'm gonna take him back on to see if we ready. All right. So, anybody else ready to go with their little recap of the season before we go into some more? And we'll post the comments up. We got guys speaking. Diggy said, "What up, AC?"
What's up, Dig?
Rob, what's up, EF? Anybody else want to do a recap before we go into some more?
This AC real quick. The difference I see from, I guess, year 24 to 23 is the growth of youth football. But with the growth of youth football, I also see the declining of youth football fields for the kids to play on. Right. In one end, I see growth for the kids, but on the other end, I see somewhere where the kids don't have to play at. Right. And we got to find stability where these kids are able to have somewhere to play at where they can call home. Right. How did we get there? I don't know what we got to do to get to that point, but I do know without football fields, we don't. It's gonna be hard for us to continue to grow and be involved in this youth football field that means so much to us. You know, because for us, it's football, but it's also a chance for us to unify these kids and let them know that, hey, listen, it's a community. Right, it's bigger than just football. It's a community, and it takes all of us. Right, it takes the Bruces, it takes the Jays, it takes the Lares, it takes the Coach Brown, it takes everybody that's on this call, man. V, you know what I mean? But Coach Brown. But what I'm saying is, without those guys, man, and been involved as long as they have, man, somebody have to lead the younger generation. You know, it's not Bruce not gonna always be here to do this. Coach Brown not gonna always be to do this. Jay ain't gonna be here to do this always. You either are, as well as myself, right? So my thing is, we have to find a way to bring the young generation to understand what our goal was and what our agenda is for youth football, right? You got travel football that costs a lot of money for these kids to play, right? But at the end of the day, it's not so much money what it costs for them to play. It's so much of what the kids get out of it, right? Because at the end of the day, it's about the kids, right? We can make about anything else we want to as adults, but at the end of the day, I think all of us got one common goal. That's to save one kid, no matter whose kid it is. If we can save one, you know, it means a lot to all of us, right? And what they do is, if one kid see another kid happen, another kid see another kid happen, it tends to go around, and everybody want to be around that kid that's happy. Because nobody want to see a sad kid that's out in the cold, that don't have anything to do, don't have nowhere to look forward to, don't have nowhere to look. We're uncles. You know what I mean? We're uncles, we're granddads, we're parents, we're all that to these kids. You know, we don't know what they have at home. So when they come on their football field, or when they come outside of that house and they see us, we can't bring our problems to them. Right. So this thing is bigger than all of us. So 2024 was a great season for youth football, right? Even at PIFCO, even at AYF, even at UYF, a lot of teams came in for the first time teams. PIFCO had some growth teams this year. You know, UYF had growth, AYF had growth. So my thing is, what we got to do is find some way to continue to grow. But we got to get these city councilmen. So we got to go to these school boards, and we got to go do what else to get these football fields to understand that there's only so much we can do without y'all help, right? We got to protect our kids. We can't keep putting them on backyard football fields with no security, because at the end of the day, right, if we can't save the kids and we can't put them in a safe environment, nobody's coming to the games. Then the parents won't let, even down to high school, when you got schools that only have 600 kids in the whole school right now, don't even have enough to make a high school team. They're going to 8-man football on the high school level. You know, so it's not just in youth. It's how do we get football back to being football that means so much to us? You know, it's near and dear to our hearts. You know, and so I take my hat off to everybody that's on this panel right now, man. Everybody that's on the call. You know, hey man, I wish y'all guys the best. Let's continue to work forward. Let's continue to get these kids involved, man. Let's continue to find some way to get these kids safe on these football fields. Because at the end of the day, it's about safety and protecting these kids.
No doubt. I'm gonna let somebody else go. You said a lot that I want to touch on, but I'm gonna let somebody else get to talk before I get to running off in my mouth.
I'll go ahead and go. I'm a little under the weather. But look, in between, say, 2023, 2024, I think it's just like society. I've seen the best in people. I've seen the worst in people. You know, I've seen a lot of people, some people on this podcast right here do a lot of great things, a lot of things to help out communities. But I've been on fields where I've literally sat in my chair and say, this can't be who we are as a community, as a football community. This level of ignorance that we're starting to see on the fields, this just can't be us. And let's just be honest, we all know this. It's getting better and it's getting worse. You know, fortunately for me in Pifco, we did see a lot of growth. We had a lot of teams. We were able to do a lot of things that we couldn't do in the past. But, you know, with more teams come more problems. We had a really good year. I feel we had a really good year. Did everything go the way I wanted it to go? Of course not. Nothing's perfect. If there's one thing that, well, this is the top thing on my agenda that I'm looking at fixing this year, I'm going to try to root out these same people who cause the same drama every year, and they cause it all over the peninsula. I'm going to root them out. We have to identify these people and get them off our fields, because it goes into what AC is saying. The reason why a lot of cities are reluctant to give up fields is because of the drama that comes with it. The reason why prices are going through the roof for youth football is because of the drama that comes with it. We a lot of times don't want to say that because, let's just be honest, we know who they are. You know, some of them are friends of ours, you know, and we just actually have to have that conversation like, listen, I get what you're trying to say. I get how you feel. But there's no need to start a fight at an 8-year-old football game because you don't like a call the referee made. You know what I mean? We have to actually get to that point, and we actually have to, as a society, look at those individuals and say, knock it off. I truly believe that. However, based on 2024, I saw a lot of phenomenal things in 2024 that I hope we can continue to grow on. Not just in Pifco, but I'm just talking about the youth football community as a whole. I do believe that at some point, though, we all have to sit down and we all have to say, look, there's enough counter space for everybody to cook whatever they're doing, right? There's no need for us to be intruding on each other. And honestly, we need to work together a little bit better, you know, and that might sound funny coming from me, but that's actually how I feel. But yeah, I think there's nothing but great things in the future. I do believe that us, the six, 7 people on here, myself included, are going to have some hard conversations we're going to have within the next 8, 9 months. And some of those conversations are going to be with friends of ours. Some of those conversations are going to have to be, look, we don't want this drama no more. Kids need to feel safe. Kids need to feel safe. Our referees, our officials, they need to feel safe. Our coaches, they need to feel safe. And after all, let's keep this in perspective. It's youth football. This is just the groundwork for the other work that we're really trying to do, and that's to educate and save lives and give better opportunities to kids. This is the groundwork. We have to come to a point where we say we're not going to bring the violence to the groundwork. We have to get there. And I'm calling on everybody I talk to. This is my mission this year. Confront these people who are doing this stuff. Confront them and get them out your leagues. Stop making excuses. Oh, he just had a bad day. Let's stop making excuses and get these people from away from our kids.
Excuse me.
Someone said earlier about, and I'm just going to use this example. Someone said earlier about kids hating each other. I ran the spring last year, and at the end of one of my games, I'm not going to mention the teams, we grade give out trophies, and I had a parent yelling and hollering that, don't shake hands with him. He don't wear our colors. I had to stop handing out rings to address this parent and ask her, said, look, these kids go to school together. Are you really trying to bring gangland activity to an 8-year-old football game? Well, it was 10U. It was 10U. To a 10-year-old football game? We have to, at some point, check ourselves. I agree with you 100%, AC. We have to go start addressing these cities that own the fields and stuff. But we have to also check ourselves. We have to say some of this stuff just won't be tolerated, regardless of who says it, whether it's a friend of ours or whether it's somebody from the other team. And we have to support people who do that. And now I'm going to get off my soapbox. But truthfully, I think I worked this past year with everybody on here, except I think Coach Brown. I think we had a really good thing. It was nice chatting with you down in Nationals. Bruce, you're always funny sometimes, man. But I think it was a good year for this area. Now we just gotta put it together and look at some directions. So that's my take.
All right, I'll go next. Overall, 2024, I'll start with my personal organization, Hampton 300. As I stated earlier, it's my last year standing and overseeing Hampton 300. I thought it was a phenomenal year for us. We had a 10U team that won our championship in our city. We had 2 other teams that made our championship games. Unfortunately, our 14U wasn't able to claim the championship due to unforeseen behavior. As we're speaking to now, some of the decision making that goes into it was prevalent during the season, and they had to forfeit their championship, but they actually won the championship on the field. I was proud of the resiliency of those young men and those guys to continue with those circumstances and to show growth. As Tony has stated earlier, we have the partnership that I've seen growth with over the last few years with the Southside Football League. I can speak from the Peninsula side. It was a relationship that was looked at a little, skeptically and apprehensively on the beginning from a lot of people. But as the few years that went by, you can see the coaches gaining a bond, a fellowship. You can see the kids gaining a mutual respect, the parents gaining a respect. And one thing I like to do, and the word, AC spoke on, and Tony, this is like a fellowship, I think, for all of us to have a platform to be able to talk. I love to talk with my parents when I get a chance in the preseason and we get together. And the one thing I try to remind them is that the purpose of youth football is to teach the game, introduce the game. Hopefully the kids will fall in love with the game and continue to want to play, continue to have and place their own goals. Nobody is getting to the NFL from the youth football games. There's a lot of things that has to transpire with genetics and other things between now of your child being 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 until he gets to high school, and from there if he continues to play to college. But the one thing that the game is here to teach is the teamwork, the discipline, the social skills, the work ethic, a multitude of things that come from playing the game. That one of the things that I'm stepping, and it's not to blame the game. I think the game is as Jay said, there's some good and there's some bad. The game that I tried to enter, I found this year in past couple years that is not the game that I'm currently in. I had to live in that reality. I'm in my mid 40s, so with that being said, I'm used to seeing football where you serve your neighborhood and your community. I wanted a platform where I could serve my neighborhood and my community. When I looked up in my program, I said I got more kids that's in my community playing with other programs, and my program has more kids that's not from my community, which it is what it is. But like I said, I think overall the Hampton 300 program, it's in a healthy place. We'll be in a healthy place. I love the energy, the mindset, the forward thinking, the progressiveness of Manny Anderson and his bunch and his mother, our chair commissioner, Miss Judy. They're going to do a phenomenal job of building on that program. I love what Hampton Parks and Rec tried to do. I know we had a media day in the spring where we invited the Southside teams to come and try to really do something a little bit different, outside the box thinking to promote our product. I think with our product and our biggest challenge is this having content and being able to tell our narrative that, you know, we're not a dead league. There's a place for everybody with the travel ball programs. As Jay said, the counter is big enough. If we treat the game correctly and the stewards of the game, as gatekeepers of the game across the board, we have to do things to, you know, respect the game and treat the game correctly. I try to steer my people away as hard as I can from being active on social media because it's contaminated. I think the mindset of the coaches, of the parents. There's a lot of coaches out here. And I know early in my early days before we started doing fall football, who was hesitant to be a part of bigger opportunities to represent the area because they was more concerned about their reputation and their record. And that blew me back. I'm like, you know, I sat literally on two college football staffs. We never talk about a kid's youth football achievements or who coached them and how they, you know, what was those coaches' records. All that stuff was irrelevant. So once again, I think with the game, the parents have to be 100% aware and part of the journey and understand what it takes, the level of commitment. I like to see our community to be definitely more hands-on, more aware as far as treating the game and the kids, you know, the way they need to be treated, with giving them that reinforcement, that discipline, but at the same time, let's not make it about us. You know, let's remove the ego, the toxic behavior of guys who lead organizations. You know, we can't control the parents that's in our organizations. Let's try to control and set guards, you know, for the coaches who are more, you know, likely to have an influence over each and every parent that's in your organization, to make sure this is a safe place for kids to learn the game and whatnot.
Anybody else before I go on? We're going to something else.
Well, I don't mind talking.
Just real quick, if I, from 2023 to 2024, for me, it's development in the area. Like, to see the same kid I saw last year and his growth from 8U to 10U or whatever. Like, you can tell that the people who care really, everybody speaking. You know, it's a lot of people who a lot of adults who for the wrong reasons, and we kind of got to weed them out as well. You watch a lot of coaches. They love yelling at kids. Like, every kid don't respond to yelling. You got to learn how to tap into each individual kid. But that yelling and that show that coach put on, it's about people seeing him and not about the growth of these kids. But to see the kids who take the game serious and their passion for getting better, like, that's what I see 2023, 2024. Like, you can tell that some of these kids, if they stay on the path, gonna be able to live football your whole life. That's things I don't think we teach early enough. Like we make kids feel like if you don't make it to the NFL, you can't have a good life and stay involved with football. And that's so far from the truth. There's so many avenues in this to a good life because you're doing what you love. And we gotta start like because every kid, like he said, every kid has the genetics to go to the field. But every kid can have the mind to be a coach or a trainer or a recruiter or like it's so much to this game that like so many pieces go into the game in order for teams to be successful. People who really love the game, if you tell them we got a way, like it's a way that you can stay around this game your whole life if you really want to. Like it started right here. It's like like somebody said, like your youth tape ain't gonna get to the NFL. Like it don't matter how good you are youth wise, that's not gonna get you to the NFL. But starting to learn the game the right way from day one, and not just the X's and O's, but the and the building relationships and you know what I mean? Like it's way more than just in that movie. There's way more to making it than knocking down a jump shot. Like it's way more to being in football than just throwing the ball and catching the ball. So let's do it, and there's so many different ways to contribute to that. And I think one of the things that we need to start to impress on the kids more. Like it's more to this than just going to the NFL and getting a $300 million contract like Patrick Mahomes. Because there's some offensive linemen that we don't even know their name. They live great. they live great. Like it's some scout team players who live great. And like we need to make our kids understand, like be the best player, like just be the best player you can be. And let that take you wherever that can take you. Instead of living for superstardom and feeling like you feel short when you don't get there.
Well said, well said. Anybody else for a move on?
Yeah, I'll talk for a minute.
Okay. Go ahead, Bruce.
Well, I was just going to talk a little bit about my program. We started tinkering around in January. Robert EF and I run a 7-on-7, which is getting ready to kick off here in another month as well, which last year we had 32 teams out there, some high school, some youth teams. AC went out there and officiated for us, so certainly we appreciate that. We finished with 8 teams this year. Probably could have had 10 or 12, but I just didn't have the right coaches in place, and so therefore we just didn't feel comfortable. But certainly coaches are brutally important out here. You got the right guy. Most of my teams did pretty well. Won a lot of games. We took them up in that road. For our regular season, it turned out to be a really, really good regular season. Talking about the home fields, we pay a little bit more to play at the sports, but that's important to us to make sure we have a field that we can call our own. And so, home fields are very difficult. But we choose to partner with Chuck, so we make sure we have a nice field. And oh, by the way, AC, the turf is being changed as we speak. So at least we'll have on that field as well. I'm pretty pleased with the way the season turned out. A lot of kids got better. Talking about parents, we did have to, excuse a few parents. They didn't like it. The way we run a program is probably not traditional the way everybody else runs a program. But I always try to remind those people that want to leave and come back and, do all those kind of things. We've been doing this, almost 60 years. And, all these other programs have been around for a week or two, and they think it's a better way because they're offering free registration or free that. And those guys have been around years as well. So for us, we think we're doing it the right way. And we are still looking for more 7-on-7 teams if anybody's interested.
Well said. Well said. I want to speak on this. A lot of y'all hit on that. with the fields, I don't understand. I'm gonna speak on what I've been going through for the Newport News in Hampton. So Hampton is a new guy, took over the program, and if I'm not mistaken, I think you got to go through the Hampton City. The guy, I think it's when Conroy run the field. You got to get the fields through them. Newport News, you got to put in some paperwork to go through the city. Then you got to go through a process of getting with the school, the principal, and then turn the paperwork back into them, and they approve it. But to me, it seemed like you said earlier, they're making it harder and harder for them to use the fields. Like in Hampton and Newport News, I know Newport News alone. When I just talk to the people, I named like 8 fields that's lights, good to go, that don't be used. And I know at least 5 of them haven't been used in about 5 years. Like, so why we for the youth? What's the issue with us getting the fields? I don't know. That's just something I wanted to talk about. Like, they're making it extremely hard to get those fields to produce games. Some of y'all in Newport News may don't have those issues, but I know this year it changed when I reached out. It was a different process.
Well, let me say this in regards to fields, and this is just say youth football as a whole, right? Youth football has a lot of guys who love football, a lot of guys who have done great things with football, but youth football doesn't breed that many really good business savvy or political savvy people, right? The fact of the matter is, so many teams and so many kids. If your kid is playing for a travel team, I wouldn't say a travel team, but outside a Parks and Rec program, as a parent, you need to understand that you're paying a double tax. until you're ready to go to city council and explain to them that you don't want to pay this double tax anymore, then you will continue to be double taxed. It's real simple. You're still paying to keep the upkeeps of the field. Newport News doesn't provide you football. When you look at the other counties on the Virginia Peninsula that don't provide you football, they provide a way for the teams that have youth football to have fields. Now, don't get me wrong. The teams in Newport News now have a phenomenal relationship with the Parks and Rec. When you're looking at East End Vikings, Peninsula Panthers, Tri-City Hurricanes, they all have great working relationships with the city. I've sat down with the city multiple times, and so it seems to be going really smooth. But I say this to anybody, whether you're in Virginia, whether you're in Southside, doesn't make a difference. If you're a citizen of that city, they owe you an explanation on why your kids have to pay to use a field, and your taxes are already paying for it. Like I said, it seems like that problem is going away in Newport News. There's still some serious issues in Hampton that hopefully can get addressed this year. But they need to give up the fields because they give up the fields for all the other sports. Also, when we get the fields, we have to be good stewards of those fields. We have to be good stewards. We can't trash a field. We can't go out there and create a ruckus. We have to be good stewards of the fields. But if you are a citizen, your tax money is going to the upkeep of those fields. And that's where the conversation needs to start.
Great point. Great point.
So on the south side, I'm on the south side. Hey, welcome to Rocket to the call, man. I see you up there laying in the cut. But on the south side, man, I think part of the problem is on this side is limited fields, right, for youth football. So you only have high school football fields to play on this side. And with that being said, unless you're going to get some staff from high school, from the maintenance department or whoever it is to come and be out there all day to stand around and open up the gate and make sure everybody do what they're supposed to do, it's going to cost you a little money for that, because that means you got to inconvenience somebody to come out there to unlock the gate, to supervise, to secure the field, because you're not getting on the fields on this side without security. And I'm not talking about your big brother, or little brother, or your uncle, granddad. It got to be a real security, got to be a sheriff, or it got to be a police officer, right? With that being said, then you got to go through the process of getting somebody from the police department or the sheriff department to buy in on what you're trying to do, right, for the kids, because they know it's gonna inconvenience their time, right? You got to pay for time, and it ain't cheap, right? So the $30 or $40 has went out the window. So the parents don't understand the part of every time you go out here and you get in a fight on a football field, it costs your kids more to play, right? Meaning, because the price go up for the security, the price go up to get the field, if you can get the field, right? You can go on every corner and these kids are playing soccer. You go on every corner and you see these kids playing baseball, right? But what happens is at work, you got two moms over here that's talking that know each other, and their kids play baseball together. And one of them might work for city council, and one of them might work with an administrator. And they say, "Oh, yeah, my son played baseball." So they put him on the baseball team, and they talk to people downtown. They get the baseball fields. Our thing is, we sit back and we want somebody else to do all the work. And then when things don't go the way we wanted to go, or the kids don't end up playing the football, nowhere to play on, then they're looking at the coaches or they're looking at the organizations and wondering why we don't have security for our kids. Not understanding that part of the reason why you don't have security for your kids, because security don't want to be involved in youth football, because you can't protect yourself from the backside, from the front side, from all the other stuff with these kids out here that's 13, 14, and 15-year-olds that's doing whatever it is they want to do, right? You got to supervise your kids. And if you can't supervise your kids in the house and you let them go out on the football field and they get around other guys that don't have the mindset to do right, nobody is safe. Not even the security, not even the other kids on the field, right? And hats off to Coach Brown out in Huntersville, right? He bring the community out and they support him and they love him. But that's him. But somebody else go out there that don't know, that they don't know, they may not get the same love, they may not get the same welcome that Coach Brown get out there in Huntersville on the football field. It's not fenced in. Don't nobody want to play on the field, right? Goose played in secure field at the sportsplex. Right, it's go through security. You got police officers, real police officers, right? So what happens is if we're going to go out here and we say, okay, we want to have a football game on the football field, and then we got two parents over here arguing with each other, and nobody want to break them up, and they let them fight each other. That means it messes up for everybody, and all it takes is one, and then they got a bitter taste in their mouth. Once they get a bitter taste in their mouth, the word spread that no, we're not going to let this organization. But we're not going to let that organization, or we're not going to let that team, or we're not going to let this team do football. And then you got to keep going and going and going and going to almost you're pretty much begging them, hey man, we need these football field for these kids. And the people we're talking to let's be honest, don't really care because it ain't their kids. That's the truth. That's the truth to the bottom line. It don't affect them because it's not their kids. But if their nephew is involved, or their son or their grandson is involved, they're a little more lenient. But if their kids are not involved, they're not going to be caring about you getting a football field. So when you get an opportunity to get a field, you got to make sure you do everything in your power to make sure that field is kept up, meaning picking up your trash, right? And everything else going out there making sure that, hey, listen, no matter how long it take, I've been out to Huntersville with Coach Brown. I see him be the first one out there and the last man leave. I see that when he played games at Lake Taylor. He the first one out there setting up the cones and roping it off and everything else. Everybody that's going home to watch the games and college games and spending time with their family, it's like getting dark. Guess what Coach Brown doing? He's still picking up trash. No matter if somebody helping him or not, he owned up to it. He said he was going to get the field. He was going to do what he's supposed to do, and he do what he's supposed to do. Even if it's taking him by himself to doing it, he do it. He get it done. Part of our problem is we can't get nobody to buy into what we want to do, and then they wonder why we can't get fields. They wonder why the price for officials go up every year. One altercation, your price went up $5 a ref. The net officials ain't even got protection. Who's to protect the officials? Right? And what happens is he's been officiating 2 years. And I can guarantee you he said difference from not from officiating to officiating since he's been out there in 2 years. The lack of respect on both sides. Right? And until we can get the officials to respect what the coaches do, and to the coaches respect what the officials do, it's going to be a problem. Officials never tell a coach why you run that play, why you throw that pass. right? Because we respect what y'all do. But on the other side, you got somebody that ain't even a head coach that's on your coaching staff. They want to argue with the official about a missed call that he didn't make. But if you ask him to come out and officiate, or you ask him to take the training, he don't want to volunteer his time. And truth be told, me and Mike V, honestly, we the only ones that get paid on the football field. Everybody else is volunteering their time.
Mm-hmm.
It's volunteer.
True. I always used to say that. And my fact, I was just talking about that the other day when me and Jay was talking about the officials and whatever. But like you said, in a nutshell, we all got to come together. I think the key thing everybody forget is the first word that comes up when we talk about this is youth sports, man. We got to put the kids first. You know what I'm saying? So many times is the adults getting their own feelings, their own egos. People won't work and cross game. Here it is. You got, just make an example, you got 5 14U teams. Brown got 3 and Larry got 2. Y'all should link up to play, but because you don't want this, that, and the third, you feeling some way, you'll have your kids play each other 4-5 times a season. Like, wow, man, you know what I'm saying? When it's all about the youth. I just threw that out there.
Hey, Rob, real quick. Is that the Rocky on there?
Yeah.
What's up, brother? How you been, man?
What's up, crew?
Man, you just snuck up in there, man.
Hey, what's up, Jay? What's
Nothing
good,
to it.
man?
I thought I was tripping, man. I got full meds, man. I thought I was tripping.
Yeah.
All right, no worries. Sorry about that, Rob. Go ahead back.
All right.
No, you good. So here's another question that I had somebody wrote in. So, and Jay, you can answer for this, Tony, and other dudes, even guys up here. Like, should a league make organizations when they come in have at least a 3-team minimum to, because there's a lot of, so you got 20 organizations in your league and 15 of them got one team. Like, it's hard to schedule games when it's all over the place. It's hard to schedule games, work with dudes when dudes don't want to work with you, and then a lot of other things go into effect. So that's just a question I throw out there. Should it be a minimum of teams an organization should have, or you guys just cool with it being however it go?
All right. Well, look, it's no secret. You need 3 teams to come into PIFCO. That's how we run it, because it's better for scheduling reasons, and the way we run our format, it helps programs grow. We don't want individual teams. We want programs, right? However, I'll go back to what I initially said. There's enough space to do all different types of formats, right? What I think happening is this. You have, once again, I'll go back. You have a lot of guys who love football and know football extremely well, but there's a business side to youth football. There's a business side to youth sports. There's a business side to the schedule. There's a business side to this. And I just think that some teams don't do that, and some organizations don't do that well, right? Not everybody can get 3 teams. Not everybody wants 3 teams. Some guys are just really good at coaching, and they're good at coaching those 25 or 30 kids, but they're not part of an organization or association, how you guys want to put it, association. But they can take care of those 25, 30 kids. There should be somewhere, and there are several places where they can go ahead and play. The problem is this. You're talking about in reference to the schedule. The problem is this. If you come into PIFCO, there's certain things that you need to do, and certain things you're going to be held accountable for to get the schedule, to be part of the umbrella and get the schedule. If you're running an independent team, or if you're running an individual team, no matter where you play, there's certain things that you need to do to get the schedule, to get who you're playing and who you're, how you're going to run your season. Okay, one of the biggest issues is I feel that too many people that say, "Oh, I want an independent team, I want one solo, I want this, that, and other," and then it's the middle of September and they're asking for games. Well, advanced leagues their schedule is done in August. You know, they start working on their schedule in May and June. You know, it is a business side of this. If you're going to do an individual team, you need to be on the phone right now, calling people. Hey, how can I make this work? Hey, I'm running in this organization. They're giving me free 4 open dates. You need to set those things up. If you don't want to set those things up, find someone to do it for you, or change the structure of your program so you can fit into these other programs where you don't have to do that. I think we have too many people that want it one way and then get mad with the outcome that they themselves walk down that road. That's my take on it.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Good stuff,
Tony.
Jay. Yeah, my thing, you know, I know, you know, we don't get a lot of, you know, respect as far as, you know, being rec league, but at the end of the day, I just feel like it's too many egos. You got coaches. I've seen this year, I'm looking on play action, right? And I've seen coaches that went to 4 different organizations in 1 year. 4 different organizations in 1 year. There's no sustainability. And if you want to call your organization, a program, whatever it is, a team, there's too many egos. That's the main problem. He mad with him. He's sleeping with his baby mama. And man, look, all of that is grown folks' business. It has nothing to do with the kids. Nothing. When you going from org to org to org to org to org every single year, you ain't doing them kids no good. You know, I've seen high school parents. I've seen kids, the 4 years they're in high school, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, and they've been to 4 different high schools. And you know what we call that? Transfer portal. To a point, that's a bunch of crap. You know what I'm saying? These kids, man, some kind of sustainability. And Rob, I applaud y'all for nephew staying at Heritage for all 4 of his years. All 4 of his years. Heritage might have won 2, 3 games, but you know what? That man paid his dues, and hey, he made it to William and Mary. So it is possible. It is possible. Everybody can't go to Phoebus. Everybody can't go to Moore. You know what I'm saying? You see, Wark is coming up now. Kings Fork is coming up now. You don't have to be at Moore. You don't have to be at Phoebus. You don't have to be, you know, at those schools to you know, to get yourself noticed. You know, everything in youth football now is, you know, hey man, hey look, come with me. Hey man, come with me. Man, y'all not real coaches, man. You can't call yourself a real coach. A real coach stands and coach what he gets. He builds, and he stays there. And he make it work. I've been at Huntersville from day one. I could have been. I could have went to plenty of travel teams, man. You know what? I'm at Huntersville, and I'm gonna stay there.
Coach.
And I'm gonna stay there, build what I build, and I'm gonna coach what I get, and I'm still gonna win.
Coach,
and I'll scrimmage, and I'll play anybody. We ain't never been scared of nobody.
Coach, let me say this. Go ahead.
Huh?
Go ahead. Let me say this. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Jay. Go ahead, Jay.
Let me say this, and I need to say this. There are not travel teams in this area. There are a bunch of guys who say they're travel teams. They're not.
I was waiting to get to that.
Yeah, because here's the deal. It's a phrase that's thrown around. So let me tell you what a travel team is. 757 Colts.
Touch on it.
They're a travel team. They play a travel schedule. They map out games all through the year. They go to Mississippi. They go to Pennsylvania. They do all that other stuff. Right? That's a travel team. Just because you travel to Richmond to play 1 or 2 games does not mean that you are a travel team. You know, I respect Parks and Rec, Norfolk, look, Hampton, the whole 9. People say Piff goes Parks and Rec all the time, or what do they call it? Local all the time. That's fine. That's fine, because guess what? That's what really the backbone of youth football is. You know, what we have in this area is we have guys that get together and say, I want to play this crazy schedule, which is fine. And then you get to September and they can't get games. I know a team that traveled to Tennessee for a forfeit. I know teams that travel to Maryland for a forfeit. And you're sitting up here and there's enough teams locally. When I say a travel team, you look at Red and the program that Red has. He has a bus and the way he does his schedule. When we say travel team, we need to be very clear on the definition. There are very few travel teams in the 757. Very few. A whole bunch of people say they're a travel team, but they're not.
Listen, because I say the same thing, right? You have people be like, "Oh man, I don't want to play in AYF or UIF or whatever. They travel too far. I'm going to PIFCO." I said, "Well, you know they do travel. They got teams in Bennett Creek just as far as UIF are going to Suffolk. They got teams over in Gloucester. They got teams here and there. So they covering more ground on the same ground. So what you saying, it don't hold just because you saying PIFCO, majority of their games over this side. They still got Bennett Creek, and maybe I'm wrong. You can tell me, correct it. You got Bennett Creek, Gloucester, Smithfield. Y'all have Matthews, Sussex, all types of teams.
Yeah, you're correct on that. But there's the deal. I don't view that as traveling. You know,
exactly.
Travel team.
That's my whole point.
Team is paying. Travel team is playing an independent schedule. See, what one of the things we have here is we have guys that want to put together these all-star teams, which is nothing wrong with that. I do believe that there's a solid place in youth football for that. There's nothing wrong with putting together a solid team and going and running the national agenda. I think that's phenomenal. I think it does wonders for this area. However, right, if you put that team together, now you want to come to Norfolk Parks and Rec, or you want to go to Virginia United, you want to come to PIFCO and run the school up on teams to get on Facebook and say, I'm the man. Well, we're not really the team you should be playing. You know, we're community-based programs. Yeah, we do have a couple of teams that they get kids from all over, but for the most part, just like Norfolk Parks and Rec, just like Hampton Parks and Rec, just like most teams in this area, they are community-based programs. Yeah, there might be some kids that are a couple neighborhoods away, but they're community-based programs. If you're going to put together, and look, I got detailed notes on this. If you're going to put together that type of team, I wish you all the luck in the world. I want you to be successful. It helps out 757. It does. I'll even make phone calls for you, and I'll call people that I know, and I'll get you games, right? However, if you can't get games in October, don't then call me and tell me to crack open my schedule to give you games. I ain't going to do it. I have an obligation to the teams. What? And this gets back to the business side of youth football, right? The biggest argument that people have is games and schedules and everything, right? Well, start working on that stuff May and June, July, August. You have an obligation. If you're part of an organization, they have an obligation to provide you that stuff, right? But also you have an obligation to say, look, if I got this monster team and I'm blowing everyone local out by 50 points, you have an obligation to go get that team and run somewhere. Make the call, make the trip. Then there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just leaving it at that.
No doubt. So let's get to some of these questions that was thrown up. Let's see. DX, are all the new organizations hurting youth sports or are they helping? Let me say from my point of view real quick. It's like 50-50 depending on how I go for my quick thought real quick. It helps because like Newport News is no more city football, right? So quote unquote, like we saying, everybody building these travel teams. Dudes are not like we did this year. We took 6 kids that never played. Guys are not doing that no more. They're not taking a bunch of kids that never played and putting them on team. So what do those kids go play, especially at the younger ages, 8, 10, and stuff like that. Where those kids go that just want to play football to have fun? They not playing football to make it to the NFL. They just doing it to have fun. You know what I'm saying?
Rob, look, this is a question I get all the time. All these teams. Okay, the Rocky, you're on here. The Rocky, in 2017, we counted up all the teams on the Virginia Peninsula. We counted up all the teams. We did again in 2018. We sent all that information in the UIFL. Remember this? I just want to make sure so no one thinks I'm just pulling this out the hat. There are two times less amount of teams now than it was then. It's not. People say all these new teams. That's not what we're talking about. I think that the conversations get skewed. There were more programs 9 years ago on the Virginia Peninsula. Parks and Rec had 10. Pifco had 14, 15. I know this for a fact. Me and Rocky did the numbers, right? The fact of the matter is, you got, now you say, okay, there's 15 new teams. No, there's 15 individual teams. There's not 15 more programs or associations. Associations used to have 3, 4, 5 teams in them, right? There are less kids in this area right now. It's close to 270,000 left kids less not playing. Maybe that number's a little high. I gotta look at my notes. I don't have them in front of me. But kids that are not playing football. The amount of teams has been chopped by close to 70%. There's not more teams. There's less kids playing. Only thing you have now, though, is you have less organizations. You have more individual teams. When you look at, and Rob, think back in the day when we did the first bowl series. Look at how big AYF was. Look at how big Pifco was. Look at how big Parks and Rec was. And at the same time, look at how big SEVA was, right? Now, all those organizations, or most of them, are fractions of their former selves. The numbers of kids in this area has increased because the population has increased. Then you can look at the statistics and look at that. The amount of kids playing football has decreased. So when we start talking about all these excess teams, it's a falsehood. It is. It's a falsehood. What we have now is we have less teams. That's why it's harder to get games. We have less teams. We have less kids playing. That's reality. You don't have to take my word for it. Like I said, the Rocky is on here. We did the numbers together. And Rob, I think you were in on a couple of those meetings. So that's my 2 cents. What we have here is we have too many individual teams, not programs, not associations.
Larry, what you about to say something, Larry or Tony? I seen somebody was about to say something earlier. I didn't want to miss y'all.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go get on my pedestal.
No, you good. You good.
No, I agree. You know, that's something that you can attest to. There was definitely more organizations in the past. I think the biggest issue is not about the teams. To be honest, they call it a spade, and the elephant in the room is how these individual teams are formed, which is 9 times out of 10 is breaking apart a previous team that's already, or organization that's already been pre-existing. So I think that's the bigger issue. There definitely is less kids, I think, in my opinion. And like I said, without having the actual stats, that's playing football, let's say in 2024, that was playing in 2014.
So you hit the nail on the head. And I'm trying to pull up my stats now. That 270,000, that's a little bit too high. I was quoting the amount of kids eligible. That's my fault. But you take this in consideration. In 2016, Newport News Parks and Rec had 6 or 7 organizations. Hampton had 10. Pifco had like 14. That's on the peninsula. Newport News Parks and Rec is gone. Hampton has like, I think 2 or 3 right now. This is just reality. There are less kids playing. There are less teams. That's why schedules are a problem.
So I'm gonna ask the question, Jay, since you're on the call, because by me being an official, right? Either way, with more teams, I'm gonna make more money. I don't.
Yeah.
To me, it doesn't matter one way or the other, right? Here's my thing: teams on the south side, bypass teams in PIFCO to go all the way to Richmond, go all the way to Chester to play, right? You got teams in Chester that bypass Richmond, that bypass PIFCO, come all the way to Southside to play. Then you got teams that ain't even got games on the weekend. They got a bye. You have 10, 11 teams that have a bye, right? We talk about communication and bridging the gap. This just me, because Hampton 300 and Coach Larry and Coach Brown, they play each other, right? With Pog and Rec, right?
Yeah.
You got UYF on this side, which is James. Jay, you on the other side. Tell me why, and tell me why we can't bridge the gap where UYF on this side can't play PIFCO, why PIFCO teams can't come on this side, and why UYF can't go on this side. And I know y'all make y'all schedule earlier because I heard you say that. But tell me why we got teams on this side that bypass PIFCO to go all the way up to Chester to play, and you got teams over there that got buys that's not playing anybody.
Well, you're asking the wrong person.
I don't know. I'm just.
Well, all right. So, look, and that's actually kind of a personal conversation that we should have off here, because I'm not about to put some information out that people aren't here to defend themselves.
No, I don't want you to talk about it.
But let me just say this. Let me just say this, that I do believe that is coming. I do believe that that's going to be worked out. We were on the pathway to get there, and we kind of got off that pathway. It was something that me and Duraki was trying to work for years, and we kind of got off that pathway, and we need to get back on that pathway. I don't know why so many teams want to bypass PIFCO and not play PIFCO teams. That's their choice. We don't have those issues in the spring. We do joint stuff in the spring, all through the spring, and then we get to the fall, and it's a little different. You know what I mean? So
just my opinion. Let me just say this.
Go ahead.
Let me say this real quick. I think a lot of issues come in, and I've been around the all leagues, and I ain't knocking nobody. I ain't stepping on no toes, but we saying we got to call shit out. A lot of stuff they ain't gonna give a PIFCO because y'all organized and y'all structured. A lot of dudes want to wait till the last minute to fill shit up. You dropping your schedule August, the first week in August, and it's showing the whole year. They don't want to do that because they want to wait on their homeboys. They're going to keep giving them grace period to try to fill a team. When the deadline supposed to be this day, they're going to go a month later because their homeboy want to do a team. They don't want to be structured and disciplined to when it's supposed to be. So when you stick to your rules, others not going to do it, so they can't go on your schedule. I'm just going for what I know. PIFCO had, and I may be off on the numbers, y'all had at least 20, about almost 20 12U teams, almost 20 10U teams. You don't need to schedule with nobody else. They need to get with you. You got the teams. If you want to get in, get with me early. I got enough teams to schedule you in. I'm not going to schedule you like you said. Don't come to me in September when you could have been got with me and got the schedule together. Don't wait till now your boy don't got a team. Now you want to cry out for games. But that's just my opinion.
So Rob, I think part of the problem with that is what Jay said earlier. PIFCO has organizations, right? Meaning you got to have at least 3 teams to come in. I think that's what I heard Jay say. You got to have at least 3 teams to come in, right? With the other organizations over this side, they're letting one team come in here, one team come in there, right? So it's hard to do the scheduling when you only got one.
No, don't leave. Listen, even with that being done, you can't leave out the structure and discipline. A schedule got to be set at a certain time. You could get with a dude the first week of the schedule, the first week of the season, and you ask him Saturday, who playing next week? He can't tell you because they're gonna make it up Wednesday. That's no structure, no discipline. That's bull. You can't operate a season.
But Rob, what I'm saying is, if you got an individual team, say the Rocket come in and he got one 10U team, right? And he got 25 kids at practice, right? 25 kids at practice, 25 kids at practice, 25 kids at practice, right? That 25 go down to 18, right? We practicing. We out here in the spring. We doing everything we supposed to do during the springtime. We out here. We doing everything we supposed to do. The parent get mad all of a sudden. I'm taking my son because he don't want to play no more. Now we go from 25 down to 24. We go from 24 down to 17. Right, so we tell you we say okay, we're gonna play. We got to put you on the schedule. Now all of a sudden we got 11 kids. Now we got to take you out of the schedule. Now that mess the whole schedule up. So what I'm saying is, when you got one team, it's different. When you got organizations, yes, you can schedule a whole multitude of schedules when you got a bunch of teams. But when you got that one team, they got one team and he's trying to find games, and he had practice every single day for that kid because he don't want to leave that kid behind. And he has one team, and he tell you, put us on the schedule, and Jay and to make their schedule and they drop August the 1st. Now all of a sudden, here it is, July the 26th. Now we done went from 24 kids down to 13. Now I got to call Jay. Hey, Jay, man, I know you put us on the schedule, man, but everybody was on my kid. They done folded, man. Now the whole schedule got to be redone because you got one team. So when you have, so what you're saying is, I agree when you have multitude of teams making your schedule earlier. But what about those teams? What about those coaches that got one team and say, I'm not going to let this guy fall behind. I'm going to deal with this one team and this one team only. What are he supposed to do? And what are those kids supposed to do? Because if we for the kids, we can't say, well, we got these 10-year-old kids. They don't want to play nowhere else, but we just not going to let them play at all because now they don't have a one team. So if my thing is, if you want to say, well, join the org, this is my thing. I'm just a ref. I don't have nothing in that. My thing is, youth football has been around a long time, right? I'm talking about travel. I ain't talking about parks and rec. These leagues or these leagues, is no way these coaches shouldn't be getting something for their time for these kids. I'm not saying it has to be a lot, right? This just my thinking. You can't tell me you can't put aside $10,000. I'm just throwing it out at $10,000. And if you are a solo team, you can't be involved in this. If you only apply to organizations, right? If you go to Florida, say for instance, the Bulls won in Florida this year, the Colts won in Florida this year, and I don't know how many other teams from this area. I just know those two off the top of my head.
Mustangs, Bruce Pearl was on their one.
Mustangs, all of them involved in UIF. We got $10,000. If 10 teams come back as a national champ, we're gonna get each one of those organized. We're gonna get each one of those teams $1,000 to split to the coaches for the time they invested, right? So what happens is, if you got 4 teams, and we'll go in, we ain't gonna say 10, we just say 5,000. If you got 4 teams, we got 5,000. You got 4 teams that made it. Those 4 teams will split that $5,000, right? Each year, because guess what's going on right now? Youth football is residual income for the organizations, for the leagues. That's it. Because every year it comes back over and over and over again. It's just like a bill. Youth football is a bill, and it comes around every November. No matter how you look at it, it's a bill. So these coaches that volunteer their time, you can't tell me they can't put aside $5,000. It's okay. The Mustangs, the Bulls, and the Colts came back as national champions. We got $5,000. We're gonna take that $5,000 and we're gonna split it between those 3 teams that came back as national champs. But if you are an individual team, this doesn't apply to you.
Who are you talking about paying the refs? I mean, who are you talking about paying the coaches? The individual teams? You talking about the youth football community?
No, I'm talking about taking that $5,000 and those 3 teams that came back as national champs. You split that $5,000 with those 3 teams. That was
where's that money coming from? I'm just asking. Are you talking about like their conference, or are you talking about the youth football community?
I'm talking about as far as the conference. I ain't talking about like just the regular organizations, local organizations. I'm not talking about like the Bulls, or I'm talking about like Bennett's Creek. I'm not talking about like them. I'm talking about as far as AYF, UIF, stuff like that. I'm talking about big conferences.
Gotcha.
When they go down to Florida to play, it costs money for to go to Florida.
Yeah.
If anybody on here on this call just tell me that these people that's running these teams and they're running these leagues down in Florida ain't making no money, they can't put aside $5,000.
Nationals coming off like a fat rat for what they doing for them fields and etc. Like if you look just common sense, the trophies and what they giving out to what they charging per team, and man, they coming off like a fat rat. But that's a whole nother topic. Like I hear what you're saying, that makes sense. I just say for what you were saying, for what you were saying, I say this. Like if you got that one team, okay, let's go with this. So a league need to come out when they got a deadline to when you got to have that team. If you got a team, you got it. If you don't, you don't. And stick to that deadline so we can make a schedule. Most people don't stick to that deadline. That's just all I'm saying.
I agree. I agree to that.
And D said, so like he said, that means new organizations is really hurting youth football because that, like you say, that one team doing that. And coaches got to get back to accepting. Listen, the key word is you a coach. You're supposed to coach the kids up. Everybody that come to your team can't be a superstar. You're supposed to coach that shit up, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, look. Let's just say this, Rob. Let's say this, and I have to say this from a management standpoint. From a management standpoint, you can't just wake up in July and say, "Hey, we're going to throw this together. What teams you got? What this, that?" No, that's not the way that works.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is a year-long process for management. It's a year-long process. You know, I take breaks, but it's a year-long process. I talk to teams every week. Some teams I need to talk to 2 or 3 times a week. Some teams I don't need to talk to at all because they're top speed and I'm in their way. I'm slowing them up, right? But the fact of the matter is, this is an ongoing process, right? One of the things that happened with the rec program, I say rec program, say Newport News, Hampton, Norfolk, whatever rec program was. November hit, everybody lock everything up, and we'll pull everything out in July and keep it moving. Well, when AYF came on the scene and other people came on the scene and they started doing stuff in spring, it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. If you run an organization, if you run an organization, it doesn't stop. And I promise you, if Bruce Pearl was on here, if Marcellus from Tri-City was on here, if Orr from Bennett's Creek was on here, if you talk to the people who have the big organizations, they will tell you it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. And I'm going to tell you right now, of the people who run conferences, myself, James, Ralph, Tamika, my man Sean up in E2E, Woodnam. I promise you, if they were on here, they would tell you it doesn't stop. What you have though is you have several people who have teams, several people who have orgs. They think for some strange reason they're going to pack up in November and December, and then show up in July, and the kids are going to be there, and it's going to be like it was 15, 20 years ago, and those days have long gone. Right? If you don't start working your schedule till July, you're already behind the 8 ball. If you don't know what's going on with your teams till July, August, you're already behind the 8 ball. You're already behind. If you don't start working on your fields to July, August, you're already behind. This is facts. This is facts. AC, me and you talked about referees last January.
Yeah,
because I saw what was coming on the horizon. I didn't wait till August to sit down and talk with you about refereeing. This is facts.
Yeah.
Look, I'm 100% volunteer. 100%. Even the mileage that I could get, I donate back to PIFCO, right? But that's for my own personal reasons. I do this 100% for the kids. I'm giving back, right? I don't look to get paid, don't want to get paid, and I spend thousands of my own money. But let me say this. I was on the phone with a guy starting the league the other night. I was on the phone with him for 2 hours, telling him, look, my days are coming to a close. I got maybe 2 more years. I said, here's the blueprint. The fact of the matter is this. If you are not willing to put in that type of work, don't complain in August and September and go on Facebook and slam the teams who put in that work. Slam the organizations who put in that work. You know, we have a lot of people that's what they do. Right now is the time to prepare for the fall. I don't know how else to say it. Right now is the time to prepare for the fall. And with that said, E2, we need to talk about some reps. I'm gonna give you a call, man. We're gonna set up a meet.
All right.
Yeah, but I just wanted to put that out there. Sorry.
So with that being said, I think part of the problem you're talking about, Jay, though, is watch this. You're an old school guy. Rob, you're an old school guy. Larry, Coach Brown, y'all old school guys. The new generation ain't thinking like that. The new generation ain't trying to validate their time for 20 years for youth football, right? So we're looking at a generation where wherever their kid go, that's where I'm going. Right? If my kid playing 8U over here, and then next year he want to play 9U for another organization or another team, then there go their dad going over to another organization with his son. So what you're saying as far as longevity, yes, that's old school. We're old school guys. When you come talking to a new generation, they ain't that. Their mindset ain't giving you 10 years or 15 years of free nothing. So what's going to happen is the Jays, the Robs, myself, it's going to fall because you don't have nobody to come behind you who's willing to put in that type of nothing.
I agree. But I will also say this. There's a lot being said about kids who jump from team to team. I'm not a big fan of it. But even if kids jump from team to team, it should not prevent the growth of youth football. You know what I mean? I think there's some things need to be put in. I think some things need to be put in perspective, right? Let's just be honest. There are some guys that I had a conversation with a mom earlier this season in 2024, and she was trying to vouch for this coach. And I said, "How are you vouching for a guy who's talking about shooting up a field?" Right? Yeah, I mean, there are some times where we have to put some things in perspective, right? And one of the things is kids don't drive themselves to practice; parents do. You know, I hear a lot of coaches going at kids, and really the conversation needs to be with the parent. You know, but once again, I will agree with you, AC. Getting old, getting long in the tooth. You know what I mean? And but I believe in this product. I believe in youth football, right? I believe that we have a handful of people that are pumping a narrative and pumping a behavior that we need to get rid of. And honestly, I think we need to I'll go full circle. We need to make our field safe. We need to come to the table and talk a little bit more, whether we like each other or not, whether we get along or not. We need to sit down and at least have the conversation. And we need to make it work. But these kids that are
I
jumping
agree.
from
I
team to
agree.
team, it's not the kid. It's not the kid.
I agree because at the end of the day, if we all in it for the kids, man, at some point, no matter what we doing, how we doing it, we should be able to come to understanding the least try to communicate. And like you said, man, we'd had them issues over here, and I had to say something to a couple of guys like, you know, you're turning your youth football program into an organized game the way you're trying to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, no matter what, no, like for instance, like I was talking about Tony Brown. You know, growing up, next door neighbor might have played for Doris Miller. You played for the club. We won't fighting and we won't beefing. But as we got older, I seen guys running these programs telling the kids, "Oh, don't fuck with them when you see them in school. Do this." No, you taking it to a whole nother level, bro. You know what I'm saying? And that mentality and what you put into the kids is horrible. So we do got to call some things out, man. When it's not right for us. That's what I feel.
Yeah. Hey, look, my thing too is I don't think we have a youth football issue. I think we have a organizational issue. The problems are within the organizations. Those are the guys, they can't seem to get along. You know, that's how you form teams. The teams stem from the issues within the organization. That's where the problems are. It's not youth football. It's coming from within these organizations, and that's what breaks the organizations down into teams. Like I said, it's all personal. It's all egos. It's all adult things. It has nothing to do with youth football children per se. You see what I'm saying? It's coming from within the organization, and then that organization breaks down into these teams. You know, and going back, one more thing, going back to the scheduling situation. I know that rule and I know everybody has rules. PIFCO has rules. UYF, AYF, everybody has rules. E2E, they all have rules, right? What happened to the rule that you have cutoff dates? The simplest thing in the world is a cutoff. It's a cutoff date. You don't
and
have
it alleviates
you don't have
everything.
August the 3rd, just say you don't have you're not going to be put on this schedule. Plain and simple. So go back to the organization you just broke up, and y'all gonna have to mend that and get back together, because you didn't have your roster in that's saying that you have enough kids for me to put you on this schedule. Some things, less is more sometimes, and we forget that. The simplest things in life, they say are free, but they're not. But at the end of the day, simple things matter. A simple cutoff date would simplify a lot of different things. A lot of different things, and sometimes we get away from that stuff, but it's just little things like that.
Let me say this, Coach. Let me say this. I don't know an organization, a governing body, that doesn't have a cutoff date.
Right.
I don't know one that doesn't have a cutoff date, and I mean that.
Maybe certain leagues might not have cutoff dates because they keep letting this.
Well, I think the problem is not necessarily having the date; it's holding people to it. Mm-hmm. I'm quite sure if other charter presidents was on here, they would tell you they have cutoff dates when their teams are supposed to say, "I have this, I don't have that," or whatever. You know what I mean? One of the great things, I don't like spring tackle, but one of the good things about spring tackle is you can see some of your teams whether they got the kids or not. You know what I mean? It gets back into being on the grind. You know what I mean? And having open air conversations with people who run leagues. But I'm just saying this, Coach. I don't know a charter, and I'm not trying to refute anything you're saying. I don't know a charter that doesn't have a cutoff date. But you have to tell me by this time what teams you have. You know what I mean? I know we do. I'm almost positive the other UYFL charters have the same thing. You know what I mean? The youth football, and I just need to get back on my soapbox. Youth football is a microcosm of the community that it serves. It's a microcosm of society. And a lot of the issues, they're society issues, they're societal issues, right? However, it used to be the basketball court, the football field, or whatever. It used to be holy ground, and that stuff didn't come there. We go ahead.
I just want to say this, and we talk about this a lot on my podcast. This is going to go somewhere else, but I'm going to just throw it out here real quick. Like you said, it's a community issue, right? How many communities do we really fucking have now? Excuse my language. How many communities do we have? Now we just have blocks with houses and neighborhoods. How many people know their neighbors? How many people? So we don't have communities. You know what I'm saying? You just have houses. People don't deal with people in their community like you say. People will go way somewhere else to deal. How many people on your block talk to each other, know each other, anything in their community? You know what I'm saying? So we don't have a lot of communities all together. You know what I'm saying? People would rather go other places because they don't want nobody in their community knowing them or knowing what they do. But that's another topic. But that's facts, though.
Oh yeah. But that in itself is a 5 to 10 hour conversation that will stray way away from youth football.
Yeah, but right? I just when you bring the community into it, you can't expect community support when you don't have a community.
Those things affect youth football. Not just youth football, they affect youth sports. It is what it is.
I think they affect all sports. You look at the high school game, it has a resounding effect. Yes. As far as the following you see or don't see, the support you don't see, the community bond, which really is one of what I remember when I played youth football. The dopest feeling I could remember was my first year playing, and the coaches passing out your number, and that's not a tradition you're gonna see. And now everybody pick your number, but the coaches passing out you a uniform before the first game, and them giving you the backstory on who had that number the year before, and that kid might have played with the older age group, and the coach is telling you, hey, you got to live up to this. This guy was a real mean son of a gun, and you feeling like, okay, there's a tie-in. That kid might have Nat grew up to be a high school football player, or he maybe, didn't play much long beyond that rec league experience, but for a moment, that person, that young, child peer had a place carved out in his community. And it allowed for us to be younger people looking up to people in our community to give us that feeling that Rob and Jay y'all talking about, which is now, once I'm a firm believer in once something, once something changed, it never goes back to the way it was.
No.
So that's just the reality of that's a part of the game that's lost, but that's a very important fabric. As AC said, we old school. Those are things that I think we look for, or how to recreate, or how to, give that to our, to this current generation in a different format where it's appropriate. But I don't know how to answer that question.
Yeah, I agree with you, Larry. Things aren't going to go back. So a lot of times we have these conversations, guys like me and you, we reminisce, oh, this is how it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
But going into the future, that's not how it is. So we have to be prepared. We have to be very cognitive of the fact that there are some things we can't run our programs the way we ran our programs 10 years ago. We can't deal with our coaches the way we dealt with our coaches 10 years ago, right? We can't expect the same things like it was 10, 15 years ago, before social media, before the internet, before national level play. The different motivations for kids and parents are totally different now than it was before. I believe that, and I'll give credit where credit's due. When AYF, when Ralph and Kerry showed up on the peninsula, and teams had this national component, and they're going to Florida, I'm gonna tell you, it put a lot of pressure on organizations like PIFCO to say, "Hey, why?" Because we were trading games with these teams, we were beating these teams, we were and it's like, why don't we have a national component? I started getting asked that all the time, right? Oh, PIFCO's great, but they don't have a national component or whatever. So, like I said, and that was 10 years ago. That was 10 years ago. PIFCO's been in UYFL now for 8 years. But I'll give AYF a lot of credit because they actually forced people's hand, something that Pop Warner was unable to do for years. But AYF forced people's hand to go out and get a national component. Some people will say that was good. Some people will say that was bad. I think it was good. I think one of the problems is too many people want it to still fit in a box. It doesn't fit in the box anymore. There's one box here, there's another box here, there's another box here. And that gets back into that pure travel team, or that all-star team, or that community-based rec team, right? There's different boxes now that we didn't have 10, 15 years ago. But we still want to put them in the same boxes. We just need to come to terms where there is nothing wrong putting together an all-star team. Some of the things that, let's just use the Bulls organization, for example. They did some phenomenal things. I was happy to see kids from this area putting the wood to teams around the nation down there at Nationals.
Hey, listen, man.
They from 757. They from where this is where my kids grew up.
That first day in Nationals, Virginia was kicking ass the first day.
Yeah,
I think everybody went undefeated and donuts.
There's something to that, right? And I like that. But also at the same time, I cheer for teams, say like York Seaford, who 6 years ago was looking at dissolving. And now I watch them walk, even though they play D2. I watch them walk on the field and take the national champ, the people who wound up winning nationals, take them to overtime. I watched that. And this is a team that they represent Seaford. Half the people in this area don't even know where Seaford is, right? I'm just saying there are different boxes. What we need to do is find a way for all these boxes to work together as one. And that's really the hard part. And also that's going to be the hardest job for the people who come after us. You know, that's going to be the thing on the agenda. How do we keep these teams viable, but also create space for all kids to play? You know what I mean? Not everybody can play on the All-Star team. Not everybody should play on the All-Star team. Just like not everybody's going to play high school ball. For a lot of kids, last time they pad up, it's going to be on the 12. It's going to be on the 12U team. But that's okay, and that's reality. We just have to let people know that. So that's my take on that.
So Jay, real
Somebody
quick,
said,
I think part of the problem you got is, can y'all guys hear me?
Yeah, I can.
yeah, you good.
So I watched the game this year, high school playoff game, and I think it was Warwick was playing. I want to say Maury. I don't know who it was, but Warwick was a home team. It might have been Kings Fork. I don't know exactly who it was. I think the game was at Darling Stadium. The bleachers was empty for a playoff game, right? I'm talking about for a playoff game. So when you're talking about community, the community won't. I can understand a regular season game. You can't even get these parents to come out to a playoff game. When it get cold, you can't find parents to hold the chains on the sideline to support the kids. Right. When it's warm, everybody come out. The colder it get, people start falling off, dropping off like flies, man. You can't get the help. When it get cold, there is no community. The community falls off when it get cold. So Jay, I get what you're saying about we gotta get the community involved. But as the Rocket, before he went on that side, he was on this side. He can tell you it's tough over here on this side when it get cold to do anything. And now that you have sports that's overlapping each other, they don't have the gap where football season will actually be over before basketball season starts. Now you have it to where football season is in the playoff and basketball season is already started. There's no gap. The kids don't get a chance to get a break in between a week off or 2 weeks off before they right back at the core thing. You got football right here, and as soon as football is over, it's track. The parents are wore out. Let's be honest. Yeah. The parents are wore out. Right?
And then,
I don't have a kid to play. Go ahead, girl.
A lot of stuff we got to look at, like you said. Nah, you cool. I just pick it back off you said when you say parents wore out. You gotta look at it, man. Sometimes hard. Like when parents used to come to games now, cost of living and everything so tight. Some parents doing second jobs, third jobs, Ubers, part-time jobs, so they can't afford some of the practice. Then you got the ones that sitting on their ass at home that just ain't gonna bring them to practice anyway. You pull up at home, it's three, four cars in the driveway. Nobody want to give them a ride to practice and none of that. Like, so that's for all my parents is watching, I said it and I'm keep saying it. I've been doing it for 13, 14, 15, however many years. I'm nobody dedicated ride this year. So if that calls me losing kids, I'm cool. You ain't want to be here anyway. I'm not picking nobody up every day. I'm running around all up Denver, Fort Eustis, downtown Hampton, everywhere, picking up 4 or 5 kids for practice every day. No.
But girl, you know where they come from? It's called entitlement.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is the best kid get a little more than the average kid, right? The best kid parent don't have to bring him to practice because the head coach going to get him. Right? If he's that stud on that team, the head coach going to pick him up. If he's a quarterback. If he's a running back, the head coach going to get him. If he's a mediocre guy and he may be good enough to play, he may get in a down or two. If he don't make it to practice, it's okay. It's okay. So what happens is
I can say that on my team. I can say this on my team this year. It won't my quote unquote dogs. Two of the kids I was picking up was new. You know what I'm saying? One of them never played. So it just be when you just try to help a kid. Certain kids, like I got this one kid that come back every year, and they ask why I bring him back. And I say, he needs football more than we need him on the football team. You know what I'm saying? And it's because mentally and everything else, he needs that brotherhood. He needs to be around the kids. You can see that he's on the team to have friends, to cope the deal, and have things to do. I think outside of football, he don't really have nothing else. You know what I'm saying? So that's one reason But that's when you come to coaching. Some dudes won't allow that on their team. Some dudes will. But
so when do you get to the point where you say that I love the kids, I love the football, but I can't care more about your kid playing football than you do? When do we get to that point?
Right now, what I just said, so it won't happen no more. It won't happen. Listen,
well, let me say
this how I come in, man, and I don't keep bringing this up. Like, I wasn't even supposed to be out of the house, so it took me from to get down from my second floor to get to my car with my oxygen tanks. It was taking me forever. Then I got to sit down, take a minute to get in the car. I lift I ain't supposed to be lifting the walker up, lifting the oxygen tanks. Got to make sure they secure. Going to pick up these kids when you running around doing whatever, and I don't think you appreciate it. So this year right here just opened my eye, man. I'm not doing that no more because you don't appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? You can't even, and then you don't even get a coach gas money, even though they don't ask you. You don't give them a dinner, a card, or anything. Like, nah, man, I'm done with that. Like,
let me say this.
There's no less or none of that. It just at some point in time, you done use me up. They ain't saying a parent can't call me out the blue and be like, I can't make it today. Can you pick my kid up? That's cool. I'm not gonna be nobody designated ride though.
Let me say this, and you asked a solid question. Like, when do you stop? Well, let's just put this in perspective, and this goes back to that social conversation that honestly gets us far away from youth football. The deal is this: community growth, community looking out for kids in the community, looking out for families, and it's a relay race, right? For all of us on here, it's a relay race. You do your best, you do everything you can, and there's a time when you hand off that baton, and you hand off that baton and say, "This is someone else." The fact of the matter is, we live in a community, we live in a society where every kid doesn't have a good parent. We live in a society where every parent doesn't see the value of youth athletics, or a lot of parents look at that it being entitled. You want my kid to play, you pick them up. Matter of fact, you pay me. We live in that type of society, but most of us, and I'm speaking freely because I know Larry, I know Rob, I know UAC. Most of us will sit back and say, I'm helping kids regardless, right? But it does come to a point where you have to hand off that baton. I'm close to 60. I'm going to hand off the baton, but community work is endless. It never stops. We know this. And we could get into the whole social aspect of this. I know, Larry, if I'm not mistaken, your degree's in that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I know me and you've had multiple conversations about this. This is a long conversation about the community and how you grow the community. I'm just saying, as far as us, when you stop giving that kid a ride, probably when you are tapped out. That's the way it works. When you say, "Look, I can't do this no more. I want to, but I can't." You can't sit around and wait for parents to act right, because truthfully, if parents were going to act right, wouldn't be in that position from the beginning. That's just my take.
So Jay,
that's just my take on it.
But with Jay, I guess what I'm saying is, I guess, and maybe I understand. I'm not talking about the parent that's out here working 2 jobs, 3 jobs that can't do it. I'm talking about the ones that had the 3, 4 cars in the driveway, like Rob was talking about earlier, that you're going to pick up, and you drop them off, and there's 4 cars in the driveway, right? Those are the kids I'm talking about. When are you going to say, enough is enough? I can't care more about picking you up or dropping you off than your parents do, and you got 3 and 4 cars in the driveway. Those are the ones I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the ones that got 1 car.
No, I agree with you. Believe it or not, sometimes those are the kids who need the most help. Because usually that parent who's out there busting their tail to try to keep the lights on, they have a sense of what's important, right? I don't know if you've ever been in, back in the 90s, been in a crack house. You go to some crack houses, you see the kids getting themselves ready for school and walk out while the adults in there getting high. I can't tell you how many times I dropped kids off and looked at the house knowing where kids didn't even want to get out my truck. They didn't want to get out my truck to go in their own house. You know, we have to keep a lot of this stuff in perspective. Just because there's cars in the driveway, that doesn't necessarily always mean it's a good thing. That mom or that single parent that just needs a little bit of help, I don't have any problem with helping them at all. I worry about the kid where there are a lot of cars in the driveway. That means to tell me you got a bunch of adults in there that are so damn lazy that they can't even make sure an 8-year-old gets home from football practice in the dark. That's concerning.
So with that being said,
I'm just giving that as an example. That's all.
I know. So what I'm saying is, so with that being said, are we hindering the parents by doing that? Because sometimes the parents take advantage of that and know you're coming to get them, so they don't do it. So what I'm saying
I'm gonna say it like this: each situation is different, right? No situation is gonna be the same. But at the end of the day, it goes back to this one word, man: accountability. That's the biggest issue in our community, as our people or whatever. Accountability. Whether it comes to you supposed to be responsible, because the more you put it like this, your kid balling and he good, right? The more you put in, you taking him to practice, you come in the games as a parent, the more he's going to put into it because you invested into it. You know what I'm saying? Right. For those kids that don't have their parents coming to the game, that don't come to practice, and then that parent come to that one game, watch how that kid act to that one game that parent is there. You know what I'm saying? So it's about accountability, and
we've all met.
I want to say this for fellas, man. We've been on here going on 2 hours. I appreciate all y'all, man. It was much needed talk for youth football. I think so many people can go back and watch the YouTube, the live. They can learn some things. A couple of guys texted me during the show. They said they want to do it again, chop it up. We can have more structure to it. We'll do it another time when everybody get free time. I gladly enjoyed it. But unfortunately, we got to wrap this up and go about.
Let me just say this real quick, Rob, before you go. Yeah. Everyone on here, everyone knows a phenomenal athlete who went on to excel on the pro level, who had a parent that wasn't coming to the games. And it was because of guys like this on here that made sure that kid got there, that looked out for him, right? And at some point, we can't give up. We just got to pass the baton to someone with more energy. We can't give up because these kids need us. And you never know. I'm just leaving it at that.
Listen, man, great way to end it, man. And like I say, we appreciate you all. Thank everybody for tuning in, listening. Please like, subscribe, share our pages. And on this podcast, we talk about anything. So you got something you want to talk about, you want to come on, get with me. And I'm going to say my regular ending I end my show with every night. May the wind always be at your back and the sun always upon your face. And may the wings of destiny carry you aloft to dance with the stars. Until next time, keep on listening with pleasure. I thank all y'all. Good night.
Peace and hair grease.
Peace and blessings.